Justice Kyra Harris Bolden knows a thing or two about firsts.
Me being the first Black woman on the Michigan Supreme Court is obviously an honor. And we have to think about there are so many people that weren't able to see themselves represented on the court until this time.
The first Black woman to serve on the Michigan Supreme Court now is the first Black woman to be elected to the High Court. Appointed in 2022, the 36-year-old jurist from the Detroit area won her race in November.
Yes, I think people have underestimated me.
Wins by Bolden and Kimberly Ann Thomas establish a 5-2 female and liberal majority on the court.
I think she is an amazing person. I think she will be an amazing jurist, and I can't wait to serve with her.
Bolden says having women and mothers on the court is important for the unique perspectives they bring.
For me, just being a new mom and having other women that are mothers that understand that perspective, and maybe just saying, hey, daycares are closed this week, but it makes a difference because we actually govern. We actually make court rules at the Michigan Supreme Court. A lot of people don't know that. I think having women in power and having a woman as our chief judge has really helped that. And it just really has enhanced my experience being a new mom on the court.
So you see there, she's raising a family as a judge. 36 years old. She's 2 years older than me. I want to say this. When we look at our people, like you have Judge Kristen D. Simmons, you have Kyra Harris Bolden, judge, Clarence Thomas, judge, you have us, right? We're judges, right? Kyra Bolden, she has a task. She has to correct all the mistakes that the people who's sitting on the bench with her is making. You see what I mean? When there's a discussion about, making the decision on, whether people who've been put through probate on the lower courts have a decision where they have the choice to decide whether or not they want to accept health care or not, she has to decide on that. She has to decide on all of these deaths that's happening in these mental wards. She has to decide on that. She has to decide on whether or not she's going to spill the beans on mortgagers accepting fraudulent statements, becoming insolvent by the time they sign a document with the leasee or the grantor or the grantee. She has to decide on all of these things. And when I look at what's the other judge, the woman judge on the federal Supreme Court, Tahaji Harris or something like that. When you look at her, she's in the same boat. They all have to make decisions that's going to benefit Black people. I know, like, when she first gets in there into the courtroom, into the office on the Capitol, and she starts looking over all the mistakes that were made and all the corruptions that were made and all the malfeasance, she has to look at that information and say, like, how can I change this today, overnight, in my first day? You know what I mean? And then she wonders, like, I have to do this. I have to be a part of the team. And then you look around, like, the others, they aren't helping. They're trying to keep things the way that it was before she got in there. You see what I mean? I'm trying to figure out with all this with all this bad faith that's happening in the courts on the lower level, the counties, with all this record keeping. What's going to happen with our land? She has to make decisions on land, sea, and also health care. So I'm expecting her to do something monumental. Like I'm waiting for it. She's the only black person on the bench that I know of, right? She's the only black person, and she's a female at that. Michigan, Detroit, period. Like Michigan has a terrible reputation of putting black women in powerful positions and giving them token assignments. You know what I mean? Like you can be a manager of a restaurant as a woman, be an owner of a restaurant, and like the person on managerial level, second managerial level, it can be a white male and he'll have all to say. Michigan is notorious for doing that. And I credit, the human resource departments for doing that. They all have a commonality amongst them. They all know each other. It saddens me, man. Like it saddens me because it's like we shouldn't have to live in these cities where we have to put up with, governors enacting executive laws, to carry out healthcare punishment. That's what I call it, healthcare punishment. We shouldn't have to live in these cities where we have to deal with, pollution laws. You know what I mean? Like we can't even begin to think about going back into some of these townships. Like the city is just a way for you to come into the city and to party. Like it's not meant for you to live in cities. You see what I mean? And like, if you want to have a home in the city, I advise you to have a home in the city. But like make sure you have a home in a township. And this is where the Supreme Court has to step up. They have to pass pension programs for people who've been a victim of the system. They have to pass pension programs for young black men because young black men are the ones that's going into prison. They're going into prison, which means if they try to go into a industry, they don't have to back in and supported by their own people because most of their people are being jailed. They're being jailed for frivolous crimes. Like if you're getting out of jail and you have to report to a probate officer, it's a frivolous crime. Selling drugs, altercation. You see what I mean? So they have to balance all of this out. And this is why I think Judge Kyra Harris Bolden has to come in with her women's superpowers. Black girl magic. Same thing as Judge Kristen D. Simmons. If we can get a black man, if we could make the entire Michigan Supreme Court black, all women, all men, split between the genders. Perfect. I'm for it. I don't see the need to have, Bernstein on the bench. I don't see the need for it. I don't see the need to have these other people on the bench neither. Because ultimately they're participating in a fraud. They don't have collateral. They operate in bad faith. Like, if you're going to allow citizens to come to this land and you're operating in bad faith, there's an issue with your home country. Like, some of these people need to be offered up for citizen's arrest. So, like, I'm glad she has a pen in her hand. Is the executive level going to follow the judicial authority? Is the judicial authority going to follow the legislative authority? Like, are these departments going to work together? Is the state going to work with the executive? Is the state going to work with the judicial? Is the state going to work with the legislative? I don't know, man. Like, I'm going to get this video a retweet. This just came out. I said, let me look up and see what I can find on her on the latest news. She's in the news. As of today and yesterday, she's in the news. So I need to find out, how can I how can I need to find out how can I get more support for her seat. Her court nominee. How can I get more support for her? How can I get more black people to say, do this and do that? Like, make sure, because, like, if you elected someone into a Supreme Court position, you're supposed to be able to lobby them. You know what I mean? There needs to be a line of communication. And this is why I tell people, like, when you're contacting your governor, make sure you let the governor know that you want the Supreme Court to do this and you want them to do this. Because they're the top executive. The governor. They're supposed to talk to the judicial authority. Like, if everyone could just email the governor of Michigan and be like, Governor Whitmer, we need, and it kind of goes without saying because it's like, I don't think she's here to help Bolden's mission. Like, I don't think she's here to help her cause. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's weird about having big government. You can get lost. There's no need to have big government. Like, we need little government. And I mean that because you need to be able to, like, knock on the public office of the person who's serving you. And you need to tell them what to do. Like, Bolden can be doing things about, the business liaisons in Detroit. She can be doing things about, closing down gas stations and reopening them. Making way for Because again, like she has she can do she can, you know, decide on cases that's already been decided on. She can raise questions. She can do a lot of different things. She can pass law. She can write law. She can do a lot of different things. Like she has a governor. It's the judge's decision to tell the state what to do with the state's agreement. So like she has the power to do these things, and it's like, is she going to do it? The guy, he just got killed the other day at the gas station over there on 6 Mountain Lodge. What is she going to do to strengthen the laws? I mean, we've given these people who come from these Mediterranean countries, we've given them enough time to act right, and like they don't act right. Like this is it doesn't even have to be on her. Like Bernstein can do this. And like they're not gonna, the white judges, they're not gonna do anything to benefit us. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're not, look at the way Detroit looks, and look at the fact that we've had so many judges come and go in the past 20 years. You know what I mean? They don't create budgets. They don't create departments. Like if you want to resettle with people who have nothing in like a city like Flint, a city like Detroit, you want to resettle them, you can do that with the pen. It doesn't matter what department you're in. You can be a governor or a judge. It doesn't matter. Because the judicial serves the executive, and then the executive serves the legislative. They work hand in hand. Like the fact that they're not saying anything, like the white judges, right? The fact that they're not saying anything about Black Americans having loopholes. The fact that they're not saying anything. The fact that they're not talking about, you know, restitution, repairment, not reparations, repairment. That just lets me know everything I need to know. So I'm going to upload this video. I'm glad that I caught this on time, because this is fresh in the news. This is fresh in the news. I want to put this out. So look for this upload. Great peace. Yakoki.